Hi guys, I am Shazad and welcome in this video. Today we're gonna discuss about the functions. Make sure before starting the functions, we have the several functions, which is the built-in functions available in PHP. You can also define your own functions. Make sure if you are saying that you are adding two values several times in your project, then definitely you always create the functions to reduce your code. You define your functions, and whenever you need the functionality, you just call that particular functions. How can you do that? Let's get started. If you want to execute a block of code by calling a particular functions, then you create the functions. You know very well that we use a var dump. So this is the built-in function. So PHP have thousands of built-in functions. So die is the built-in function. As you can see, if you type X, and as you can see, these are the functions available in PHP. So we're going to discuss about the built-in functions. Don't worry about it. But let's discuss about the user-defined function. User-defined, that means you are going to define a functions. Let's suppose if you are going to create a calculator, then how can you do that? Let's suppose if I'm saying die. Now, if I say I have a x equals to 10, I have a y equals to 20. So these are the two values. You know very well that you can also use the space between them. And now, if you directly say x plus y, then you can do that. Just save the file, go to the page, refresh the page. As you can see, it's saying 30. But if you're creating a function, and now I'm saying add. Here I'm saying x, first value, second value. Now, if you say first value plus second value, and now save the file, go to the page, refresh the page. As you can see, it's still saying 30. Why? Because it's not executing this function. So if you create any kind of functions, you have to call that particular functions to be executed. Let's suppose if you're saying 2 or 3, and now echo. Sorry, you don't need to echo this one. Refresh the page. As you can see, if you comment this one, refresh the page. As you can see, it's saying 5. Now you don't need to write this code. Just call the add functions with different values. So it's now saying, or you can use the okay, now it's saying 9 and 5, because 2 plus 3, 5, 4 plus 9, or you can call this function as many times as you want. Let's suppose in this time you are saying 40 plus 5, refresh the page. As you can see, it's saying 45. So this is the basic syntax of the functions, that you have to use the functions. Make sure this is the keyword. So you never use this keyword to create your own things. So you have to use the functions and then use the function name xyz or any kind of name, and use the braces. And now, so you can use the code here to be executed. So now, as you can see, this is the function, this is the function name. Now if you say this is the xyz, if I'm using the die, or if you say hello world, and now say xyz, go to the page, refresh the page. As you can see, it's saying hello world one time. If you call 3 times, then definitely we print this one 3 times. Let's suppose, so 3 times. If you call this function 4 times, it will print the 4 times. Let's suppose if you have 2 echo here and you are calling 1 time, then definitely it will print twice. Now 4 times. So anything you are going to write here, it will automatically execute it once you call the function. Okay, so this is the basic syntax of the function. Fine. So what are these? These are the arguments. While calling a particular functions, you always pass some arguments. Let's suppose you can pass uh, 1, which is a string. You can pass uh, 2, which is a string. And now, if you call this one, refresh the page, as you can see, you are passing the arguments, but you are not receiving the arguments here to use these arguments. Let's suppose 1 and 2. Okay, so these are the local variables. Don't worry, we will discuss about the local and also the global variables in our later lectures. Let's suppose if you say 1, so this is the variable and this is also the variables. Now go to the page, refresh the page. As you can see, it's saying 1, 2. It's printing this one. If you are not using these two variables, then definitely you can also do that. But make sure you're passing the argument. You are not receiving the argument. Once you define these arguments, if you are not passing the arguments while calling the function, then definitely it will give you the fatal error. That means your function required two arguments, but you are not supplying the two arguments. Let's suppose if you are saying null, or if you are saying null, that's fine, because you are saying the by default value is null and you are not passing anything here, so that's why the by default value is null. If you are saying equals to 0 or nothing, that's fine. But if you have defined like this, then you have to pass the arguments. You can pass the array, you can pass the object, you can pass the string, booleans, or any kind of data type. Okay, so this is the argument, this is the functions. How can you create the function? We also have the return value. Let's suppose in some cases you always return a particular value once you call a particular function. Let's suppose if you are saying that if you are adding these two values 1 plus 2, and now if you are using the return keyword, that means when you call the functions, the function automatically return this result. Fine. So if you go to the page, refresh the page, as you can see, it's saying you have to pass the argument. If I'm saying 1 and 2 or 1 and 3, now it's fine. Why it's not showing you the values? Because when you call the functions, it's returning the values. So now if you store this value in a variables, I'm saying result, and echo this one, then definitely it will show you the 4, because you are returning the 4 here. You are passing 1 plus 3 and you are adding the plus sign, or you are performing the addition operations, and now you are returning the value. You are storing the value in a particular variables. If you are not doing this, you can directly echo this code. That's also fine. So this is the return type, these are the arguments, and this is the function. So in this way you can create your user defined function. Make sure we have already discussed that PHP have a lot of thousands of built-in functions like print or like var dump, get browser. Okay guys, so in this way you can define the functions. So I hope guys you are enjoying our videos. If you think we are doing good, thumbs up, and thank you for watching.